I'll admit that was a aggressive pass for sure. And honestly, I'm not even upset about it anymore. But yeah, just be aware, guys. I mean, give that shit back ASAP. I hope everybody had amazing dreams last night. We're starting in P5. We have 12 laps of Sebring and a little bit of a different video. This guy way back here, Jake Williams 14, keep an eye on him. He's going to be a major player. Lap number 1, Joey starting a couple of positions ahead of us, and Joey is going to have a fantastic start here, looking to get around the leader as the leader falls back. I might look to follow him through as well. I have the inside available. I do make a mistake here, and this is one you're going to see multiple times at this track and in this video, where I kind of just drive him off of the track, just about turn him. His car luckily stays facing the right direction. But I do not like to get positions like that. If you've seen me stream enough, you may have seen me give positions back in the past. I have done it on multiple occasions when I make an overtake that just kind of seemed unfair and in a real race situation would most likely be giving a position back. I didn't want to do it super quickly though, because there was a guy behind him who was pretty fast, so I waited until a bit later in the lap, coming out of Tower Corner, and you'll actually see me on the exit lift and stay wide. With half of a second between P4 and P5, I felt like this was a good time to give the position back. I actually execute this pretty poorly as I lift way too much, and I should have waited until probably the braking zone to let him by, because now Emil, who was the car behind, is going to get right up my ass onto my bumper, and I'm going to aid him in possibly looking to get this move done on me as I totally whiff the apex, getting on, well, I hit the apex, but very wide on exit. I got on throttle way too early there for the straight. That's going to kill my run. We're side by side. I have a little tiny bit of slipstream, which he does not, so that helps me maybe not fall as far behind as I could have, and immediately gonna fire back, looking up the inside of Sunset as I felt like he was going to have a wide exit with such a narrow entry. Side by side all of the way through, heading on to the second lap. We get good drive, but probably keep ourselves closed off a bit too much there. Could have been more aggressive on the exit of opening that up and keeping our speed higher. Into turn 1, it's going to be similar-ish to what happened on a lap 1 with me and the other car, except this time we're both going to go around as he hits my rear quarter panel, and we both go sliding out, losing a ton of positions. He has a bit of a rough rejoin. Somebody actually ends up dying for that. We managed to slide in right behind Jake Williams. That's the guy that earlier I was talking about. Actually, 2 cars behind him as I let this guy through as well. After I rejoin the track in any scenario, if there's somebody hot on my ass, I'm probably just gonna let them through. It's fairly annoying when, you know, somebody rejoins and then kind of defends a corner immediately. So letting him go through, and that settles us down into P14 at the hairpin, a few cars ahead, 16 spinning out, and that's going to cause a little bit of an accordion effect. Everybody bumping each other here. I think I got a 4 times contact for that, but still picking up 2 positions. We're up into P12 at this point, and lap number 3 coming around turn 1. Not super eager to fight for any of these positions. That what I was talking about letting people through kind of extends for a lap or so after I make a big mistake like that. A lot of times I try and settle down. The car ahead going into the rear quarter of Jake and spinning out, and I feel like that also probably played a part in what is going to take place pretty soon. I think Jake was just getting a bit frustrated with the contacts, probably with the rejoins that myself and the other car did as well. I'm looking around the outside of him into the hairpin, pulling to the inside, trying to throw him offline. Honestly, he does a really good job here, though, to stay online and meet that apex perfectly. So we seemed not to have affected him too much there. Potentially we made that move so late that he didn't even see it in his rear view. That's likely the case. That happens to me sometimes, where somebody dives up the inside to try and get in my head, but I'm not even paying attention, so it doesn't affect me. Up the inside of Sunset, gonna try to replicate that move, but lock up my tires early on in that braking zone and just don't manage to recover my drive out of there. So staying behind Jake, we are pretty close to him, and I will say this was not the move. This was not the move. I don't know why I thought he was braking so much later than he was in actuality. We completely missed that apex, hit him, and I mean, I've been talking about his name. I've been referencing him all race. Sure enough, ba-bam. Yeah. I was planning on giving that position back just a couple of corners later. I was actually in voice chat with Joey, and I think I said something along the lines of, I just knocked this guy off the track. I'm probably going to have to give that back. I was upset at myself more than anything, but I was not expecting this. So first time being wrecked like this in quite a while, just straight into the back of us through the braking zone, blowing both of our engine, well, blowing my engine, but he actually seems to be able to hit some sort of like jump into the corner, so I guess he can still drive. Either way, that's 50 minutes of repair, so that race is over for us. Pretty disappointing end to it. And a more disappointing result. We got fucked. Joey came in P3. Shout out to Joey, he had a great race. And Jake actually ended up changing his name after this race and messaging me on the forums saying his pedals were broken, smiley face. So take that for what you will, just be aware that that guy is out there. Now, next, well, this is actually not the next race. This is a few races later, and we are starting behind Cole Chambers with a pretty disappointing qualifying for myself, a 2:02.9, lap number 1, and I had been kind of carrying the weight of what happened in that last race you just saw all week, so I was trying to be extra careful, extra cautious, and this race just seemed to not, I mean, you can see how tight I'm holding the inside now. That is something that I took from that last race, as everybody just seemed to be going wide when they were on the inside there. Now, too wide with Cole Chambers here, and I was aware that there were a lot of cars ahead, so there could be a backup coming, but I end up running into the back of him there. I kind of wasn't expecting him to cut like across that so viciously diagonally, and like you can kind of see here, all of the other cars kind of opening up that corner. He tries to cut in front of me. Now again, I should have been more aware, as I do believe I also broke a little bit late because I was intending on trying to go side by side with him there. And honestly, my brain just seemed to lag. Some more death behind us that kind of stemmed from our accident. And into the hairpin, I was expecting him to make a move here. You can see me kind of semi-defending there, but I was not expecting him to kind of do that. It's hard to see, but here's a view of his steering into the hairpin and just literally turning to the left to try and knock us off the track. I actually move over to the left as well to kind of aid him and give him more space. Doesn't really do much for us, as once again we are knocked off the track, losing a ton of positions. Also, like I said, I waited, so I had an unbiased opinion. That was a horrible, horrible rejoin from myself. Car number 12 ended up paying the price for that. He does rejoin and he survives, but I mean, yeah, that rejoin was, I mean, probably reportable, right? That's punishable. So if you want to clip that and report that, feel free to. I don't know what's going on here. People are spinning off. We end up settling behind this guy, Mati Kunial, who we would be around for basically this entire race. Hot on his tail right here, and I was looking to get some positions, obviously. At this point, I mean, like in the last race, I said that I typically like kind of settle down, you know, when I get into an accident and give it some time. But at this point in the week, I was just so frustrated. That was the second time somebody had intentionally driven into me. And, you know, if it's a mistake, it's a mistake. But when people intentionally hit you, it just hits different. Not able to get the position here, giving Matty the room to cut down that straight, get a good run, and we'll just settle behind him. But I was definitely, I think, a little bit more present in trying to make up positions, at least initially, like how quickly I got onto the tail of Matty and started putting him under pressure. I did want to make up some positions, namely because Cole is just a few cars ahead of us. That's the guy who hit us, and he's kind of stuck in this situation with these two guys ahead of him going side by side. He's going to run into the back of this guy and just kind of try and stay on his tail. Does not end in his favor, as he ends up hitting the guy off of the track. Well, I guess it kind of does end up in his favor because he does get that position, but ultimately Cole would be in trouble due to not really anything racing wise, but his incident points, as coming across in lap 4 through turns, I think this is 3, 4, and 5, he's going to drive off the track, boom, pick up an off track right there, and that will be his final off track. So he actually gets a drive through for that, and I think he was just so upset that he pulls over to the side and gets out of there himself, and he leaves the race. So that was that one for him. We actually ended up having like a somewhat decent race, coming across the line on starting the final lap here, and it looks like we have potential to hop ourselves up into P12, but I'm just going to go ahead and skip to the end of that lap because we didn't do it. We ended up settling for P13, and we had 15 incident points, so one more contact and we would have had a drive through. So yeah, I mean, honestly, this one could have been way worse. We ended up not losing that much, but P13 is optimally not what we wanted. Cole ended up getting DQ'd, and it was just, it was one of those weeks. I'm going to show you guys one more race just to like not spoil your day and actually give you guys some good racing. Although not even all the good racing is from me this race, but I mean, I made some decent decisions, I will say. Now, starting on pole, immediately getting jumped on start. I mean, big surprise, right? Not really. That happens all the time. You can see the difference in how tight I am holding the first corner. I mean, I'm honestly being way too passive now with how I'm holding that first corner, but regardless, it is, I think, an improvement from how I was driving definitely at the beginning of the week in those races you saw. I'm just trying to be more cautious overall. I'm also, I mean, there's only one person in front of me, and I have a half of a second either direction at this point, which sometimes is what you need. You know, you don't need to be fighting right off the bat. A lot of times, I mean, you can always, there's always another corner, right? Until it comes down to like the last lap, there's always another corner, and sometimes just staying in the fight, staying alive is a better option, and one that pays off every now and then, which, you know, you might end up seeing this race. Now, looking at the gap here, about half of a second either direction, and we're going to cut ahead now to lap number 4, where you'll see the gap has grown dramatically. He is now a second ahead of us, so we've dropped quite a bit of time. Xavier was driving very well. Same gap behind, which was nice. And I was kind of monitoring that maybe too closely. I should have been worrying about the car ahead of me more than the car behind me. I was definitely kind of, I was paying more attention to the gap to David. And sometimes looking behind you, you know, you're just not going to go quite as quick as if you totally focus on moving ahead. And you'll see how much of a difference that plays as the cars behind, as you're watching me drive off track, are about to get into a little bit of a fight. Car number 1, for the first time, is showing some signs of life here as he's creeping up to the car in P3, just kind of peeping up the inside into that that braking zone. And I know it wasn't a lot, it didn't really change any times, but I saw that in my rear view. I saw him moving to the side, and as a driver, you know, I'm thinking, all right, he may be looking to get this position soon. And even that kind of gave me more motivation to like keep my eyes ahead, because I was like, there might be a fight. And sure enough, next lap, here we go. He's got a very good run out of, I think that's corner number 5, going around, this is technically turn 6, towards 7, which is the hairpin. And he has the space on the outside, very respectful driving from the car ahead, leaving all of that space there for him, which, I mean, is basically, you know, a given, but some people don't do that. Side by side, they go through the hairpin, and they're going to make it work all of the way through there. Car number 1 with an excellent run, keeping that position side by side all of the way up until it looks like the next corner. Tons of space given. This is just absolute, I mean, this is the racing that I was talking about, that this is the nice racing that I wanted to show you guys. Car number 1, very well, like that line was amazing, honestly, through that corner. He just kept his speed so high that he could not help but keep track position, and the car behind, well, car who is now behind David, falls into P4 and gives that up. I have already gained quite a bit of time to Xavier over the last lap. We've got him back down back down to about half of a second, which is striking distance. And if we get a good run onto this straight, we could potentially turn that into kissing distance, which I am all about. We have a long way to go in this race, though, so that is also playing in my mind. I'm aware that, you know, even if I get in a position to make an overtake, there is enough time that it won't be a one and done battle. Me and Xavier have pretty similar pace, I would say, on most tracks, so I felt like it could end up going back and forth regardless of, you know, who's leading at any given time. And sometimes, a lot of times, you know, I prefer to be the hunter, even if it doesn't work out. I enjoy fighting somebody from behind as opposed to defending, which is also possibly a problem of mine. You should be defending, you know, more often if you want to be ahead more of the time. So that's something I have to work on, something I've been working on forever, and I will continue to work on and get better at. But at the moment, we are where we like to be, behind him, and 4/10. So we're a bit closer this lap to reaching that kissing distance that I so want to happen between myself and Xavier onto the straight. He has gone quite a bit wide here. We have a fairly good run, I mean, clean run in terms of line, but he did seem to carry, I mean, basically the same amount of speed. He's kept that gap at 4/10, and down the straight, of course, it will start to diminish, but not very quickly. We are in the slipstream through Sunset. He is taking a very solid line through there. No opportunity through here, just really focusing on the exit and trying to get some sort of advantage heading into turn 1. Seems like he loses grip there. May have touched the wall as well. He's lost a lot of speed as we head on to lap number 7. Okay, and I'm backing off. So this is kind of what I was talking about. Like, I don't know. We have 3 seconds to Felipe behind. So maybe I should have made that move, right? Because that may have been my best chance. This is lap number 11, the penultimate lap, and he's begun to pull away a little bit again. But look at this. Look at this. Yes, dude. Yes, an entire race of chasing him down. And I mean, this happens to everybody. The turn 1 at Sebring, there's many times where I'm just in practice hot lapping, and eventually that corner will bite me. So we move up into the lead just by patience, and I mean, really not that we didn't do anything there, okay? I'm aware of that, but we're in the lead of the race. Xavier has fallen down to P3, and I just really needed this race, honestly. After the races this week, and there's more of them, I had a lot of bad races, getting into accidents with people, and you know, you can look back on things, and of course, wrecking somebody is never the answer, but there's a lot of things I did wrong, and a lot of things I could have done better, as you saw. I'm sure you recognize that watching those races. Now, across the line, it is a victory, much needed victory, much needed victory. And this was actually, I think we did one more race at Sebring, but this was basically our last race of the week. Now, overall, Sebring was, it was not too kind to us. 4,600 at the moment. Xavier ended up crossing the line at P3. We only had 4 incidents that race as well, and all of them were off tracks, so gaining quite a bit of safety rating as well. But yeah, our I rating is pretty down. We have a long way to go with that. I think we ended up losing like 150 or 200 total this week. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video and want to see more, please check out my channel. There's a lot of stuff I'm sure you'll enjoy and a lot more coming.